Sadgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Yes, tell us your name and ask the question.
Pranam Swamiji, my name is Harsha. Thank you very much for your time and giving your time to Vivek, my son, this morning. I have one question. Yesterday you walked us through the Panchakosh Vilas as process of meditation, and finally you said that who is it that is noticing the blankness? So that thing, is that Chidabhas, and is that what, when we say who is this, who is noticing the blankness or doing the Panchakosh Vilas? Is that Chidabhas? And that's how, as far as we can go with our mind, because that's not Atman, right? That is just a reflected consciousness, isn't it?
Okay. First, when you said Panchakosha meditation, it's actually not a Panchakosha meditation. This is one I would like us to keep in mind. These are techniques of enquiry. So Panchakosha, the 5 sheets, the 5 layers of the human personality, it's a method of enquiry. Drigdrishya Viveka, it's a method of inquiry. Viveka means an inquiry, a discernment. Yes, afterwards you can meditate upon it, but primarily it is an inquiry, it's a search. Now, what does it appear to, this blankness? See, this blankness, if it's the true blankness of Anandamaya Kosha, there will not be the Chidabhasa left anymore. The Chidabhasa, the reflected consciousness, is there as long as the individual ego is there. Like in deep sleep, you don't have the sense of Chidabhasa. That's why deep sleep seems like nothing to us. It's because the reflected consciousness is not active. If it was active, it would not be sleep. You would still have the sense of ego there. It would be waking or dreaming. So, that which witnesses the causal body, Anandamaya, is Brahman or Atman itself. And you are that. Now let me just dwell just a little bit on this reflected consciousness business. One can make too much of it. Where does this thing come from, this question of reflected consciousness? It comes in this way. When we hear that the real nature of the self is Atman, it's pure consciousness, but we are also conscious. Right now, nobody denies that we are conscious. So we will immediately ask, this consciousness that I feel here and the Atman, pure consciousness you're talking about, are they the same or different? How do you explain? Also, how do you explain? How did we come from pure consciousness to this state now? And there are multiple models which explain this. There is the reflection theory, there is the false reflection theory, there is the limitation theory. The reflection theory is that, let's take the false reflection theory first. That's the one I use most. In Sanskrit, this is called Abhasavada. Abhasa means shadow or a false reflection. So, I'll use the same example for the 2 reflection theories, false reflection theory and the reflection theory. The false reflection theory in Sanskrit is called Abhasavada. Reflection theory in Sanskrit is called Pratibimbavada. Limitation theory in Sanskrit is called Avachedavada. All of them try to explain how did we come from pure consciousness to the Atman, or what is the relationship between pure consciousness and Atman. And if we understand that, pure consciousness and the reflected consciousness, if we understand that, then we'll also know our way back. Now these 3 theories tell you slightly different things, and it's nice to appreciate how they're working. And we can also look at it inwardly and match it. And you see all 3 will fit, but in different ways. One is the false reflection theory. Use the example of mirror and reflected face. So here's my real face, here's the mirror, and in the mirror I see my face. But that's not the real face. The real face is here. That's false, this is real. So if I want to, now the advantage of the false face is it can be seen. The real face cannot be seen. But if I want to go from the false face to the real face, I'll have to somehow do that turning around from there. And from there I become aware, I am this, not that. Now in the case of consciousness, what happens is the mirror is the mind, or specifically ego, I. And the I shines in consciousness. Right now one can locate it. Notice the sense of I. I am. In subtle way locate it. You will find that it's a sense of ego, at the same time it's conscious. It shines in consciousness. That is that consciousness there in the I. The I am is the mirror. It's a thought. It's a part of the mind. It's the mirror. But in that mirror you find consciousness. I am, but I am is not just words. It is shining in awareness. I am an aware being. That awareness is the reflected consciousness. From there, it's like the reflected face. From there, you have to go to the real face. How you do it, nobody can help you at that point. Vedanta can take you to that there and point out that you are not it. That is the false reflection theory. The reflection theory, Pratibimbavada. By the way, who holds these theories? Who propounds these theories? The reflection theory, Pratibimbavada, is propounded by Padmapada, the Vivarana school of Advaita Vedanta. Shankaracharya's disciple Padmapada Acharya, he holds this theory. The false reflection theory, Abhasavada, is upheld by teachers like Sureshwaracharya, another disciple of Shankaracharya, Vidyarnya Swami, who wrote the textbook Panchadashi, the classic. So these people. And I often use that. What does the reflection theory say? Again, take the mirror example. This is a little more subtle. And in the mirror, your face is reflected. Now, the reflection theory tells you, Pratibimbavada tells you something strange. It says the reflection is actually not false. It is appointed to the reality. What do you mean by that? Of course, the face in the mirror is not my real face. But notice, how do we use the face in the mirror? We use the face in the mirror if you want to put lipstick or cosmetics or brush your teeth or shave, all of that. We don't do that. Okay, there is the face. From there I have to come here and then brush my teeth here. There's the teeth and then I reverse the toothbrush and bring it here. No, I don't pay any attention to that. I'm using that for this. All of it, all that it tells me is my face is here. My teeth are here. I have to brush like this. I have no hesitation at all. I am not reversing all the time and recognizing its falsity and then making the U-turn and coming back. No, I'm not doing that. For me, that face in the mirror is this face. Do you see in what sense it is meant? In what sense is the reflection the reality? Because that's how we use it. That's how we think about it also. We don't go through the process of, that's false, this is real. Now I must reverse. The shaving, I don't shave the mirror. I have to shave this. No, I don't do that. I'm never trapped by its falsity. I know I'm this. Similarly, the consciousness here just points to the fact that I, the one watching this, I am consciousness. Straight away. It's a subtle difference between false reflection and... In both cases, it's the same mirror example. The third one is also very beautiful. It's the Avachedavada, the limitation theory. It is held by Vachaspati Mishra of the Bhamati school of Vedanta. What they are saying is, forget all that limitation business. When you notice consciousness, you are noticing Atman Brahman. How so? Now look at the sky through this. This is a perfect example. Look at the blue sky through these windows. If the trees were not there, you would see the blue sky through the windows, the skylights. And you would see each sky, it would look like the sky is rectangular. And that sky is rectangular. If you had a circular window, the sky would be circular. And it seems that each window has its own sky. And it seems that if the window gets, moist or dirty, the sky seems dirty or moist, like that. But the beauty of it all is, the sky which you're seeing through the window, though it looks rectangular, though it looks separate from that sky, and from that sky, and from this sky, the sky looks separate. Yet, what you're seeing is the real sky. All the time you're seeing the real sky. Except that it takes on the properties of the window. It seems square, rectangular. It seems small. It seems separate. All those are wrong. The sky is formless. It's not rectangular or square or circular. The window is rectangular, square or circular. The sky is not small. The sky is limitless. The window is small. And the sky is not separate for each window. The windows are separate. Similarly, consciousness shining through the mind, through the ego and the mind, it seems to be, the ego and the mind are like that window. So the consciousness which you see in yourself is like that sky, except that it seems limited by this body and mind. It seems to be I or my consciousness, not at all. The I or my is the mind. It's not, you are just the sky. Now you see Krishna's teaching, avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktam iva cha sthitam, undivided in all beings, appearing as if divided. It's like as if the sky is telling us, I am undivided in all windows, but appearing as if divided. You see? So that is the limitation theory. Take your pick, apply all of them. The limitation theory, the Avachedavada, it corrects this error, too much hang-up of reflection. If you think too much of the reflection theory, you'll end up feeling, I am the reflected consciousness and there is some pure consciousness. No. It's like thinking, looking at the face in the mirror and thinking, I am the reflected face and there is something called a real face. No. I am the real face and that's my reflection.
Namaskar, Swami. Neeraj Vijay. Swami, my question is coming, but just to follow up on this one, if you are in the contracted ego form in that square, is there tricks of the trade to get them back to broader consciousness?
Yes, you remember first and foremost, even if this contracted window is there, sometimes it may be window blinds may be drawn, you can see only a tiny glimpse of the sky. Whatever you are seeing is the infinite sky. You are not the window. You are the sky itself. No matter how small or contracted the window is. That's what Vedanta tells you. However, to improve the experience of the sky, you need to... There's a happy song. I don't know, it was popular a few years ago. Yes, be happy. It's like living in a room without a roof. So if you open the roof up, you see the vast blue sky, as big as you can make it. Similarly, what sadhana does is it thins out the ego. It broadens the ego. Karma yoga makes the ego vaster. I am here not for myself. What is myself after all? This limited, miserable little creature. But I am here for all. My ego becomes all-encompassing. Then the more and more of the sky shines through that. Bhakti yoga, it purifies and uplifts the ego. It makes it a devotee's ego. Sri Ramakrishna says there are two kinds of ego. One is the ripe ego and another is the unripe ego. The unripe ego is the worldly ego, which is my money, my family, my problems, so on and so forth. And the ripe ego is the one who says, I am the servant of the Lord, I am the child of the Lord. Amitar Dash, Amitar Shantan. This is he says, Paka Ami. The ripe ego. The ripe ego lets more of that sky shine through.
So where I have trouble is when you are talking about Mr. Castro's number 2 objection is when you have multiple beings, it feels like they all have consciousness.
Yes, exactly like multiple windows having consciousness. It feels like that. And yet it's true that it's one sky. Krishna says in the Gita, I am one consciousness in all beings. I appear as if divided. So yes, first of all, admit what is multiple. Multiple bodies, multiple minds, multiple egos, multiple histories, multiple personalities, all are there. But behind it, one consciousness.
And is all knowledge memory or vice versa?
No, we are going into other areas now, yes.
Namaste, Swamiji. My name is Anu. I had a follow-up question, not for the Sat-Chit part, but for the Ananda part. So, the understanding that I am Satyam Jnanam Anantam or Sat-Chit Ananda is cognitive. There's a cognitive shift, right? But It's interesting because that is felt as happiness in the mind. The fact that I'm limitless gives me a feeling of happiness.
Yes.
But that happiness is still mithya, right? It's in a movement of the mind. It's still mithya. Happiness is not intrinsic to Satchit Ananda.
No. So Ananda is intrinsic to Satchidananda. Ananda is intrinsic to Satchidananda. But if it's a felt, the distinction is between the felt Ananda and the reality.
Right.
So what you see as existence in the world is existing things, not existence itself. In order to make it visible, experienceable, you must give it a coating of name and form. Then you have an existing thing. Here, these are existing things. What is our experience of consciousness? Conscious experiences. I see, I hear, I smell. None of them are permanent, none of them are eternal, none of them are all pervasive. They come and go. They have various qualities, good and bad. But those are conscious experiences. So pure consciousness manifests as conscious experiences. Pure being manifests as existing things. Pure bliss, Ananda, it manifests as the sukha, various kinds of happinesses in this world.
But it comes from my fullness, right?
And the real nature. It comes from Brahman.
Yeah, which is non-experiential Ananda.
Yes. Now remember, when you say non-experiential Ananda, you have to be careful. It's like saying the Sat is the non-existing Sat. No, it is existence itself. You might say non-experiential in the sense of non-specific experience. Ananda is that which is coined into all our specific blisses, our specific sukha.
Swami, one last, thank you, that helps. But it's not just sukha, right? I mean, all
No,
emotions.
it is, yeah, so all emotions, sukha, all of them are manifestations of Ananda.
Yeah, so sadness, grief, happiness are all movements of the mind that are manifestations of my fullness.
Yes.
Which is non-specific experience Ananda.
Right. And if you know yourself as that, then in every experience you will experience Ananda.
Right.
It's like every ornament is an experience of gold. It's not true to say, so gold is not an ornament. That means it cannot be experienced. Only ornaments can be experienced. No. The other way around. Gold is experienced in and through every ornament. Not only that, let's be even more bold. It is only gold which is experienced. Ornament by itself cannot be experienced. Similarly, it is Ananda which you are experiencing.
So dukkha will be also part of Ananda's function.
Yes, that's the interesting thing. What we ordinarily think of as dukkha, as pain. Sri Ramakrishna, dying of cancer. And Hari Maharaj says, but I see that you are in bliss. And he says, yes, the rascal has found me out. And the rascal has understood, in Bengali, Shaladhore niyeche, that how in pain and about to die, I'm still in full bliss. Even that pain is manifesting the bliss. How? Because that pain itself is manifesting existence consciousness. Every flash of pain gives me a manifestation of that existence consciousness. So, Kena Upanishad says, Pratibodha viditam matam. In every experience, Brahman shines forth. If you make the gold into a demon and you make the gold into a devata, in both cases, the gold, it's the gold. The gold will come. The demon is the pain. The devata, the god is the pleasure. But both are equally gold. There are this Ananda, there is Vishayananda, Bhajanananda, Brahmananda. Vishayananda is the joy you get through the senses. Good food, a good movie or a beautiful scenery which you see. So joy through the senses and our lower mind, that is Vishayananda. Vishaya means contact with the object. It gives some kind of pleasure, if it's a pleasurable object. Otherwise it will give pain. The higher than this, much higher than this is what is called Bhajanananda, the joy of spiritual practice. When you give up these Vishayanandas and you derive your joy from meditation, from devotion, from bhakti and bhajan, from seva and from jnana, that is called Bhajanananda. There is a joy in Vedantic inquiry also. There is a joy in meditation. There is a joy in bhajan and kirtan. There is a joy in service. These are all Bhajanananda, the bliss of spiritual practice. But higher than this is Brahmananda, the bliss which is the ultimate reality itself. Next.
Swami, this is Ranu. I'm checking for understanding. So, ultimately, as you said, we are Satchitana. That is our real nature. But for whatever reason, well, there is a reason, we are caught up in the world majority of the time. And the reason for that is because there is a Satchitana part of us and like a unconscious part of us, there's a conscious, unconscious, and so that unconscious part of us is relating to all of the unconscious parts of the outside world, which also has a Satchitana.
Okay, can I put it this way? The reason why we are caught up in all this is not because we are unconscious of it. The reason is ignorance, because we don't know it. Once you know what Satchidananda is, what Brahman is, with eyes closed, with eyes open, thinking about Vedanta, not thinking about Vedanta, remaining utterly unthinking about Vedanta, you will all have to admit that I'm never away from Satchidananda. It is Satchidananda. There's nothing else except Satchidananda. Once I know what it is. There your question will become, yes, I know that it's technically all of this is Brahman, but my mind is not on it. My mind is dwelling in call it a daydream called Samsara. Yes. Then the solution is this Vedantic meditation. To plunge the mind again and again, point out the real nature, the Satchidananda in these, each of the first 3 lines of these 10 verses. It's just doing that, pointing out what you are.
So there's that, the conscious, unconscious.
In the microphone, please speak in the microphone.
Sorry. There is that Satchidananda, and the mind and all of those, the body mind, that's not quite, it hasn't absorbed. It hasn't.
Yes. Because it hasn't yet quite absorbed it. The solution for that is this meditation. Until Vivekananda called it assimilation. I've heard the truth, I've thought about it, I sort of get it also, but I'm not surcharged with it. I'm not lit up by the truth. I'm still lit up by the Ranu body-mind identity. That's what is the dominant reality in my life. To change that dominant reality. Now it's not really the dominant reality. It's what the mind thinks is the dominant reality. We end up in a kind of schizophrenic, we recognize our spiritual schizophrenia. That we are projecting this world and we're taking it to be real. For the first time we realize that's not the reality. The reality always has been there, that is Brahman, it's here right now, I am that. But I still tend to dwell in the world of my, world of samsara. The samsara as divorced from Brahman, as sort of existing by itself, which it does not. So then these meditation techniques are used. Slowly the shift will become stable, then I will relate to everything from that perspective of Brahman, not the person Ranu. There's that beautiful saying, the person will never be free, but you can be free of the person. And you can go further than that. You can be free of Ranu, but Ranu will still remain. As long as this body remains with its past karma to work out, it will still remain. Doesn't matter. It's the portal by which you will work out you will work out your karma in samsara.
Work to do.
Yes and no. Vedanta is in one sense instantaneous. There's nothing more to be done. How much work is needed to convert the table into wood? Nothing. Yeah. How much work is needed? Where do you have to go to be in the spirit in the desert? Nowhere. In fact, if you move out of this place, you will not be in the spirit in the desert. If you try to go anywhere, you won't be in the spirit in the desert. That is true. So that's technically true, but it's something to be seriously acknowledged. We think this is awfully imperfect. How could this be Brahman? But if at all Advaita Vedanta is true, all the imperfect things are also grounded in Brahman. They can't be anywhere else. Do they exist? Yes. In that case, they exist in Brahman. They are appearing in Brahman.
So it's about constant practice of that paradigm shift.
Constantly pointing out to yourself, reminding yourself, and this is such a thing which is all the time available to me. in working in the world outside. After all, wherever you are, there you are. So their Atman is, their consciousness is, their being is, and it's available to you.
Namaste Swamiji, my name is Uday. I'm trying to reconcile between Vairagya and also fulfilling the worldly duties. Specifically, like how do we fulfill worldly pursuits? Because we have to exist in the world, we need to not just fulfill duties, we need to have more pursuits. How can I spiritualize those?
Don't be over serious about it. Relax. Sri Ramakrishna said, the more you go towards Benares, the more Calcutta is left behind. The more well-known saying is, the more you go towards the east, the more the west is left behind. But that hurts people here in America. So why would you want to leave the west behind? So he said the same thing to people in Calcutta. The more you go towards Benares, the more Calcutta is... Benares is the holy city. The more you go towards Benares, the more Calcutta is left behind. Same way, the more you move towards your identity as Brahman, the more you cultivate devotion to God, the more you center the mind in God, the more we serve selflessly, automatically samsara is left behind. You don't have to struggle. So, all right, I have a pursuit, all the spirituality is good, but I love playing, say, table tennis, ping pong. How do I spiritualize that? Don't bother. You see, many of these monks were very happy, fun-loving people. Swami Vivekananda loved sports. He swam, he wrestled, he played cricket, he learned shooting in America. Rifle, maybe I think in Texas or somewhere. Yeah. So he learned golf in America. So all of that, and is a deeply happy and fun-loving person, and is not all the time trying to spiritualize everything. It will happen. In general, the tendency should be I'm moving towards Benares and leaving Calcutta behind.
And can I use spirituality as an excuse to reduce some of my pursuits?
Yes. It's not an excuse. It's a very good reason. There are certain things that I do not do, and a lady complained to Ashokananda ji. People say that after coming to Vedanta, they have stopped being. They said, "Mom is no fun anymore after coming to Vedanta." And Ashokananda ji said, "Good riddance to bad rubbish." At some point, we have to grow up. If there are these pursuits which no longer pull me very much anymore, drop it. Use that extra time and energy to meditate, to study, to go off on a retreat, or just be by yourself, or just go out to a non-profit and serve, spend a few hours in serving. I've seen these people in New York in Central Park, elderly people, retired, but they spend hours and hours doing gardening in those hundreds of acres in Central Park, somewhere in the forests there. They're cleaning their so it's service, and it's entirely voluntary. Anything that elevates you.
Sadhu Pranam Maharaj, my question is...
What's your name?
My name is Anjali.
Anjali.
And I'm going back to the verse, the paragraph you read to us day before yesterday regarding maintaining the sanctity of sadhana by not oversharing. So as a grihast, if both people are in the same path and in the same order, where does one draw the line regarding oversharing in different aspects, including sadhana? And
if you're uncomfortable, don't share. If you're comfortable, share. If you find it helpful, mutually helpful, then share. See, Sri Ramakrishna gave a beautiful definition of a human being. Manush, he would play on words. He was a wonderful, wordsmith, and he was very punny. So he said, Manush, Manhush. Who is a human being? Man means dignity. Hush means awareness. The one who is aware of their own dignity is a human being. Now that's a pretty deep definition. Are you aware of your dignity, your physical dignity, your social dignity, your dignity in the workplace, dignity in the family, your dignity and integrity in the community, and then our moral dignity, and then our intellectual dignity, our dignity regarding language. Swami Ranganathanji is a great master, teacher in our order. He said, he was a great orator. He said he stopped using foul language when as a little boy he had learnt a bad word at school and came home and used it. His mother told him that if you say that one more time, Saraswati will never dwell on your tongue. If your tongue is dirty, Saraswati will never. And he said, as a little boy, that struck me so hard, never again. So dignity, that my dignity in terms of language, my dignity in terms of action, word and thought. And finally, the highest, my spiritual dignity. Who am I? What am I actually?
And on the same token, regarding sharing, if the guru that initiated me is an extremely busy person and is not readily available, what are the resources within the order?
Well, there are tremendous resources. Other monks and nuns are there, books are there. Nowadays, online, so many talks are there. And in India, for example, when we got our mantra Diksha, so the Guru's presidents, vice presidents, they had hundreds of thousands of disciples. I spoke with my Guru exactly thrice, just for a few minutes. And that I was very young at that time. But I saw him at close quarters for more than 1 year every day, from a distance. I mean, from close quarters, but couldn't talk to him. It was impossible. There are hundreds of thousands of people. That's all right. The whole order is there. So many monks and nuns are there. So many spiritual seekers are there. All these books about the lives of the spiritual seekers, the sadhakas and sadhikas are there. And all this literature in Vedanta, in Bhakti, all of this is there. These are all guideposts. Our questions and issues will all be addressed at some place or the other. Yeah.
Thank you.
At one point also, it says the mind becomes your own guru. As we go along, within a few years, whether we listen to the mind or not, that's a different matter. But the mind knows what is right and wrong. And it will tell us. It's the inner voice of conscience.
Pranam, my name is Gurudatta Parulkar.
Yes.
I have a question about Guru Diksha. As you mentioned, Guru Diksha is very, very important to make progress. And I'm caught in some kind of a catch-22 situation, and I'm hoping you can provide some insight. So I come from a Hindu tradition where Guru is considered very, very important. Even there are verses that say Guru is even more important than the God. Right? So on one hand, I feel that I'm very keen to get the Guru Diksha, and I would love to do that. I feel that is how I can make progress. But if I have to be ready to be able to treat my Guru equal or even more important, I feel I have not made enough progress. So it's like a catch-22 situation. I want to make enough progress so I can get the Guru Diksha, but in order to make that progress, I believe I need to take a Guru Diksha. So how to resolve this catch-22 or dilemma?
So these are things which are set up by the mind. These are tricks of the mind. So what you should do is cut the Gordian knot. Just go ahead and get mantra Diksha. What you are saying is true of all of us actually. The Guru is seen as next to the Ishta Devata, the God. So, but it's not that now I have to live with God. Am I up to that level? Not at all. Most probably you will get the instructions from the Guru and the Diksha, mantra Diksha. If you are lucky, you might meet your Guru a few times and talk to the Guru, and then thereafter you might never again see the Guru again. Doesn't matter. Ma Sharada, she was asked, you give mantra Diksha to so many don't come back here after that. When they take Diksha and then they go away in those days. She said that the best category are those who take the Diksha and then go back and do sadhana. So just go ahead and take mantra Diksha. You can take it in our tradition if you like, or anywhere else. Mantra Diksha one should take and start practicing. That becomes an important pillar of our spirit. That's not all, but that's really important.
If I may follow, so you think that particular thing, that putting Guru at the same level or above the God, that will naturally come to me through the Guru?
Oh yes, it will come. Will it come very intensely, that somebody went to a very senior monk of our order for mantra diksha, and he asked the same question which Vivekananda asked Ramakrishna. Have you seen God? And this monk, the guru, is of a very grave temperament. He replied, neither you are Vivekananda nor I am Ramakrishna. We must start. We must start. Start wherever. As far as you can see, it's a good tradition. It has delivered results for years and decades and centuries. If there have been thousands of people who are initiated and who are making spiritual progress, so let me start. It's good that you're seeking a guru and a spiritual path. You find them, especially people from the West, you'll find them in the Himalayas, backpacking. What are you doing? Looking for a guru. Okay, good. 25 years later, you meet the same guy backpacking. What are you doing? Looking for a guru. That's not good. What happens is, my mind plays a trick on me. I'm waiting for the right guru. Because you are so great, right? You are waiting for the right. No. It's good to be discerning. Don't fall for a fraud. Don't fall for things which trouble you later on. After looking at it, seeing you're comfortable in this tradition, make up your mind and then dive in. Because all of these will lead you back to the same reality, whichever tradition you're in. Often people already have, Hindus for example, they already have a guru or a tradition of a mantra in their family or in their community. There also we say, you don't have to change, you don't have to go to another guru, do what you have. Often people will say, no, I want that special initiation from the Ramakrishna order, I want this guru, I want to be part of this community. That's perfectly, then you can. Otherwise, all of these mantras will take you, all of these practices will take you there. It depends on our eagerness and sincerity.
Thank you for taking this time. You had mentioned in the last question and answer session, you said, consider the question. And the way that you answer the questions that we ask they always lead back to Brahman. And I'm wondering, what is it that you consider that helps you answer these questions at the deepest levels?
Yeah. Yes. Vedanta you will see often, Upanishads, Gita, even this book. There are questions, the disciple and a guru. There are questions from the disciple and the guru answers. So most of Vedanta is dialogue between teacher and student. So Vedanta always starts with the question. And we know that, but we are eager to jump ahead to the answer. Hey, here's a great question, I want to know. Nachiketa asks the Lord of Death, Yama, what happens after death? We want to, I also want to know that. So we flip pages and yes, what's the answer? Arjuna asks these questions. Each chapter, almost every chapter is preceded by a question by Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. And we want to know the answer because it feels like our question. But a professor of philosophy, Professor Chakravarti, told me, Swami, stay with the question. So appreciate the question first. How? And I'm beginning to see in the last few years how deep, profound are the questions. The answers are already there in the germ form in the questions. Vedanta is in the drop, the whole ocean is contained. The Shanti mantra we do, Asatoma, Sadgamaya, Tamasoma, Jyotirgam, whole of Vedanta is contained there itself. Sometimes in the question itself, the answer is developed out of the question. So stay with the question. Let the question vibrate within you. Let it become your question. I really, really want to know this. And it will transform my life if I know the answer to this. That's how the students ask the questions. Vedanta generally is not very missionary in that sense. We're not going to go out and grab you off the streets and try to convert you to Vedanta. You must pursue the teacher. That's why traditionally in Vedanta, the teachers made it very tough for the students. So, the question, stay with it. You must have a question. Unless you have a burning question, you're not serious. You're not looking for anything. An answer given without a question is not very valuable. That's why a lot of education doesn't work. Or secular education, curiosity is the most powerful force in human nature. Somebody demonstrated it, a psychologist. So one of the most difficult things to calm is a crying baby. Mothers desperately try to calm the crying baby. One thing they can do, suddenly do something weird, funny in front of the baby who's yelling his or her head off. Suddenly you do something startled and looks at you like. Forgets to cry also. Curiosity is so powerful. We want to know. We are creatures who want to know. So the question is most important. If that question is strong in my mind, our lives will the answer will make us spiritual. The question is not really there. It's like going to school and they're teaching. The teacher is teaching us lots of things which I never asked. They're telling me, but I never asked in the first place. That's why a good teacher usually will begin with a question. Even if the kid doesn't have a question, you should at least supply the question. And then it sets up, it primes the mind for the answer. So stay with the question. Arjuna's question, the question of Nachiketa, all the big questions in Vedanta. And recently, they're saying in the age of AI, the question has become all important. They're saying all we need to teach the children is how to question AI. It's called prompt engineering. So that is the subject to be taught. Actually, they're teaching it. Prompt engineering. How to prompt AI. If you can design the correct prompt, you will get the answer from AI, what you are looking for. I was asking a gentleman in Calcutta, I was sitting in the airport, one AI guy was sitting there from the industry. So I asked him that, what an age we have come to. We're trying to say that you don't need to educate children. All you need to teach children is prompt engineering and then give them ChatGPT and they'll educate themselves, stuff like that. He gave me a new perspective. He said, but Swami, your Vedanta, it is prompt engineering. Upanishad, Gita is prompt engineering. Arjuna provides the prompt and Krishna gives the answer. Nachiketa provides the prompt and Yamaraj gives the answer. I said, well, I never thought of it that way. Another one final point I liked. Recently, Elon Musk was interviewed by Nikhil Kamath, yes. So there he asks why it is important for, to get people on social media, on X. And so he says there must be a worldwide community of minds. And he asks why? What is the importance? And Elon Musk thinks and thinks, and he says that we are not yet asking the right questions. We are all after answers, but we are not yet asking. It has become more and more important nowadays to ask the right questions because information is available now. And we have agents like AI which will find out the information for you. Now the beauty is to ask the right question. And he says, very interesting, he said, I want to ask that question for which the universe is the answer. This is a new way of looking at the secret of the universe. Think of the universe as an answer, but what is the question? There's a science fiction story written by Isaac Asimov. Have you heard of Isaac Asimov? He was my favorite author growing up. So he says, he writes that story, short story. The story spans millions and millions of years. So a little boy asks a computer that, can entropy be reversed? The whole universe is running down, heat, death, so can entropy be reversed? And the computer says, in those days, this is 1950s story. Computer says that not enough data to answer. Then decades pass, they have devised the first supercomputer in those days, big machines in the house with a punch card and all that. And just to try out the supercomputer, one of the scientists asks the question to supercomputer, can entropy be reversed? Supercomputer says, not enough data to answer the question. Then centuries pass. Now humanity is spread out into the galaxy. There's a galactic civilization like Star Wars and everything. And in a spaceship somewhere, a little kid is doing his homework. And he asks the computer, which is, he calls it hypervac or something, which is a galaxy-wide network of computers, asks the question, can entropy be reversed? And the computer answers, not enough data to answer the question. And then like millions and millions of years pass and humanity has evolved beyond human form. They've all been uploaded into the cloud or something and they're across different galaxies of the universe. It's a very nice story. One of these great minds asks a question to the universal computer. Can entropy be reversed? The computer says not enough data to answer the question. Then heat death of the universe. Universe is dead. All civilization disappears, human beings disappear. Everything is gone. But the universal computer is still there. It's still thinking. How to answer? The last question remains. It has answered all questions of humanity. Only one last question remains. If it can answer that, then it will shut down. But now it has found the answer. It's a very thrilling story. It finds the answer. But there's nobody to give the answer to. Because everybody is gone. Universe is gone. Human beings are gone. Universe is gone. Stars, planets, aliens, all are gone. Nothing is there except that universal mind, computer. So the story ends. That universal computer said, "Let there be light." And there was light. So the universe starts there. So the universal computer is God actually. So God is answering a question by creating the universe. Very beautiful. Yes.
Swamiji, this is Anu. My always the question is, we are learning all these years and everywhere we go and reading and say how we know that we are the Satchit Ananda. But when I go out and then I see, how do you know a person who you see outside is a horrible human being, horrible things he does, but that person is also the Satchit Ananda. How do you know?
Yes.
How we go back?
The gold can be made into a statue of a demon. That does not mean it's not a demon. It is a demon. But what is it really? It's gold. And the gold can be made into a statue of a god. But it's gold. One is a god and one is a demon. There's no doubt about it. But it is gold also. Gold also means fundamental. Now think about that person. Why do they do these horrible things? You say he's a horrible person. What is horrible? Is he physically horrible? In the body, is it horrible? Yes? No. Then is the person's mind horrible? So there must be something in that mind, in the personality, some characteristics, some traits which are making that person do, because of which the person does that. Right? So that's why a person is horrible. Because of something in the subtle body, Sukshma Shari, the conditioning subtle body. We all have those germs in us, more or less. That person has other faults, I have some other faults. That person has many more faults, maybe I have less faults. So beyond the body, beyond the mind, what is the reality beyond all that? Satchidananda. So that does not mean you will worship that person. Or you can worship that person, but worshipping that person may mean putting him in jail. That's your worship of that person. Yes. There is a Yakshanurupam Bali. There is a principle in the Vedas. The sacrifice, the ancient Mimamsakas, the Karma Kanda, they made animal sacrifices. The sacrifice is according to the deity. Whatever the deity, that kind of sacrifice has to be done. So if the deity is a crook, your worship of the god in that crook is to put the crook in jail. Then, okay, one more, last gentleman is there, you can ask. We're running a little late, but anyway.
Pranam Swamiji, I am Prashant. It is said that Brahman is not the experiencer. So, is that reflective consciousness which is experiencing?
Yes. Now look at it this way. Brahman is akarta, abhokta, apramata. Is not the knower, is not the experiencer, is not the doer. Not the doer of actions, therefore not the experiencer of the results. And also not the knower of this world, of things in this world. When that Satchidananda gets a layer of mind and senses, and it becomes the knower, or it functions as the knower, it becomes pramata, the knower. When it gets a layer of the body and the motor organs, it becomes the doer, or it appears as the doer. And when things happen as a result of the actions, good and bad, it becomes the enjoyer, sufferer or enjoyer, the bhokta. So, the answer to your question is, Brahman by itself is not the knower, not the doer, not the enjoyer or sufferer. But it is, other than Brahman, there is no knower, enjoyer, sufferer or doer. Right. So, know that so when you're doing something, who are you? You're Brahman. If you know you're Brahman, you can honestly say, I do not do. But yet the action is being done. It is being done through the ego with the reflected consciousness. You are not the ego, you are not the reflected consciousness, you are Brahman. But the ego and reflected consciousness are nothing apart from you. This is the paradox.
So is the knowing or illumining that is ascribed to consciousness aspect of Brahman, is that knowing different than?
Yes, there are these two kinds of knowing. There is Sakshi, there is Pramata. Sakshi is witness consciousness, ever shining. That which makes possible all our experiences. But with the mind and the eyes, that Sakshi becomes the seer. With the mind and the ears, that Sakshi becomes the hearer. With the mind and the tongue, that Sakshi becomes the speaker. So all sensing, all doing is done by this Sakshi alone, but technically then the Sakshi has become the Pramata, the Karta, the Bhokta. But what is this Karta, Bhokta, the doer, the knower, the enjoyer or sufferer? What is it powered by? What's the CPU behind it? If you open it up, made in China. It is all made in Brahman. Behind it, if you remove the Sakshi, there is no Karta, it will just be, it will go blank. There is no light, no existence behind it. All light, all existence, all value is provided by Brahman. The varieties are provided by Maya. Yeah, the overlays are provided by Maya. Maya itself is provided by Brahman. All right.
One last question.
No, yes.
Do you realize beings have reflected?
Yes, certainly. Everybody has reflected consciousness, even enlightened ones. But they know that they are not the reflected consciousness.